Welcome to Opinion Havers, a movie podcast for Frenchmen with ties. I'm Cody.
And I'm Tyler.
Tyler, what did we watch?
We watched The Matrix Revolutions. Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I watched.
All right, good.
Right? Yeah. No, that's what I watched.
Yeah.
Tyler, part 3, we're in here, 3 of 4. How are you feeling?
Oh, I feel great, Cody. It's the best movie series ever.
How do you feel about missing the window to watch Matrix 4 on HBO Max?
Nothing has crushed my spirit more than this moment, Cody.
Look, here's what I'll tell you. I'll give you a little sneak preview of Matrix 4. I actually think it would look really awesome in a theater. So I'm jealous that you might get to see it in a theater because I watched it at home. And as I was watching it, I was like, it might have been a good theater movie. Looks kind of sharp.
But Cody,
yeah.
Have you considered that I have a better TV than you? Which is not a brag, just a fact. All right?
I'm sitting here trying to be happy in my life, and you just come out here and cut me down.
I do. It's how I make myself happy.
I've got a friend who's thinking about buying a TV here in a bit, like a little later in the year, and I was like, I got 2 friends who got the LG OLED and love it. So I even plugged it to him, all right?
It's worth it. It's worth every
so I know what I'm missing. I know what I don't have that you have, all right?
That being said, I bought mine a 65-inch LG OLED and got, like, insurance protection stuff on it for $1,600.
That's such a good deal.
So
I saw it the other day. It was on sale the other day for, like, $1,800. You got a steal, man.
So good.
We can't, hold on, but wait. We can't go back down TV talk again, all right? We got so much hate mail, they lit a dumpster on fire, and I can't do that to the good city of Cleveland again, all right? I can't do that to them. Tyler, let's talk Matrix Revolutions. Do you want to sum it up for us?
Cody, it's the thrilling conclusion, a.k.a. the third out of 4 of the Matrix trilogy, now a quadrilogy, or as I like to call it, a dyad of dyads. All right, it's the end of
double
the
dyad.
One. Oh yeah, the big old double D. That's what I call it, Cody. All right, so it's the double D. It's the conclusion, but not quite, of the double D. But we didn't know that for years. For almost 20 years. So this is the conclusion of that time. It's the end of the one story. Widely regarded by most as the worst movie. But is it? Only you can decide.
Yes. Oh. Let me tell you, let me hit you with a hot take with my first impression. Did not really enjoy much at all about this movie. Hey, what? Look, I'm here. I'm just a simp out here agreeing with the critics. Loved 1, 2 was okay, didn't really like it. 3 I actively didn't like. I know that's what the critics say, and I know I'm supposed to be a hipster and I'm supposed to go opposite of what the people do and say, but it wasn't good for me. All right, if you're asking me if it was good for me, I'm saying no. But Tyler, what really matters and why people listen to this podcast, they want to know how you felt. How did it go for you?
I think I like this movie. Here's why, Cody. Here's why. This is the important take.
You're the real hipster in this relationship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This movie. Okay, how did you watch? Take me through the timeline of you watching the 3 movies.
I want to say it was a Monday evening, and I watched Matrix with my wife at home. Mm-hmm. And then I think the next night we watched an hour or 2 of Matrix 2 and had to give ourselves a break. And then I think we watched the rest of Matrix 2 the next day. And then we were like, we can't start the next. We can't last. And then I think we had to take a break of a day. I think Matrix Revolutions happened the day after that. And we were like, let's just start it and we'll finish it. Maybe we'll start it in the living room, we'll finish it in bed, could be nice. And we hit a crucial point where it was like, there's like an hour of this left. and we just had to get this done. And we had to power. I mean, I'm telling you, we had to power through this movie. It took a lot out of me. It hasn't been since the Twilight days when we watched the Twilight movies in like a week that I had, so much struggles with getting through. There were only 3 movies. It wasn't even, there weren't even that many. So that's what happened to me. It was on like a 4 or 5 day period, I think.
All right. Now here's what I'm going to tell you. You done it wrong, Cody. The Matrix movies are only good if you watch them all in the same night. All right? It's a commitment that you got to make, and if you break them up, if you take a break to go to the bathroom, awful trash movies, okay? You got to watch them all in one. It's one long movie, okay? And no other way to do it.
How does that work, though? Like,
They're
why
better.
is that?
Because they did a very bad job of making the next two. They did a bad job of making. Here's the thing. Here's a hot take for you. You want to talk about hot takes? Here's a hot take. They're all the same level of quality, both in the writing, the acting, and the effects. All right, none of them is worse than the others. It's just like a simple story, then they expand it, and then they expand it. That's it. It's like it's the beginning, middle, and end of a story. Here's the problem. They were like, it's like if you're telling your friend a story, and you're like, oh yeah, and then we're going, and then we got to the movie theater, and then you just stop, and then 2 days later you're like, eater, and then and then you're like, they're like, that was an awful story, man. It's like, yeah, it was, because you didn't find a good breaking point. You just kind of stopped. Like, most of the time when I watch these movies, because I've seen them multiple times, for different reasons, Cody, that are my own. How dare you, okay? I could not honestly tell you, except for I could tell you where the first one ends and the next 2 begin. Where 2 ends and 3 begins, it's very fuzzy, Cody. It's very fuzzy. It's like, I don't really know I can't rightly remember how 2 ends. Because I'm pretty sure 3 just like drops you in it. Like you're in it, immediately, right? Right?
Look, you're fuzzy on the details. You've seen these movies multiple times. I watched these over several days. I don't know either. Like, I don't know where one stops in the next. I know where the first one stops because it's a pretty clear delineation. Mm-hmm. Everything that happens from the start of 2 to the end of 3, I'm like, I don't even know.
Okay. I got it. I know her. I think I got it. I think so. I think I got it. But it's like, it does not feel, it feels like where you would put so where the movies are split as 2 independent movies, feels like where you would put a commercial break. Not
right, yeah.
Months of waiting.
And even then, it's one of those commercial breaks where like they rewind it about 5 seconds when it comes back. So it's like, okay, you remember your place though, like one of those. And it's definitely not that.
Because, okay, so spoilers for the second movie, I guess. If we've gotten this far, you should have watched that movie, though, Cody. The second movie ends with him stopping the Sentinels, right? Because it ends with they're like, he's on his little hospital bed, right? And they're like, oh, we only found one survivor of this. Here's what I hate, okay? Here's what I hate. Them being like, oh, we lost all these ships does not fit with every other thing that happened up to that point. Because they were like, we're going to send 2 ships to do this counterattack or something. And then they're like, we lost every single ship. And it's like, you had like 50. Where did they all go? Apparently they all died in this counterattack, except for one guy. And that's when it ends, which is like also, it's a cliffhanger. I'll say it. It's a cliffhanger, maybe, but it's a cliffhanger at the end of a CBS or a CW show. All right, not what you'd put at the end of a big budget movie. All right.
Yeah,
it's like,
I hear you.
Next time on the Matrix show, on the CW's The Matrix.
Mm-hmm. Next time on Dragon Ball Z. Remember that? Yeah. Remember when Dragon Ball Z were like 30% of the episode was like the recap at the beginning and the teaser at the end? Like the beginning is like, all right, here's what happened. We're going to replay about 5 minutes of all the dialogue that happened in the last 20 episodes. And then we're going to do a couple standoffs. There'll be one or two punches, and then we got to wrap it up with a nice bow. Give you 3 minutes of like, here's what happened. Here's what's gonna happen next time. Here's the question that's gonna happen next time. And don't you want to know that? And it's like a 12-minute episode. And you're like, we just spent 7 minutes of this episode talking about what happened before and what's gonna happen next. It's a great way to do it. That's what they should have done with this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like HBO, like the HBO shows.
Oh, yeah.
They do a great job with that, where it's like, hey, here's a little recap. You're like, I don't want the recap because obviously I'm binging this because I'm not an idiot. Like, I'm not watching this as it comes out. But if I were watching it as it comes out, this would be very helpful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
good job,
Matrix.
HBO.
The Matrix Revolutions really could benefit from a last time on, kind of section. I honestly think, at its core, the Matrix. Here's what I think. I think 20 years down the line, the Matrix is going to get remade as like a big budget TV show,
Like the Amazon Lord of the Rings thing, or a Game of Thrones situation.
Because I think the story structure, in my opinion, just fits that so much better than movies. Not to mention, like, just the caliber of story really fits that better, don't you think?
It's a fantastic concept that, like, a lot could go on in.
Yeah.
You could do a lot with it.
But
I meant to watch the Animatrix as part of our watching this, just like as a little bonus, but I have not watched it.
Yeah. I've heard
it's
it's
good.
fantastic. Yeah. I've always heard good things about it.
I've heard it's like the best Matrix thing except for the first Matrix movie. So, I have to do it. Tyler, I'm teed up. I'm ready to go. Are you?
Oh, I'm ready. Are we
Ready to
spoiling
dive
it?
in?
Yeah. We're spoiling it, Cody. Cody, Gosh, I already did the thing where I had you hop on my back. So, I mean, can we even do that again?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right. Hop on my back, Cody, and I'm going to fly us into Spoiler Town. Hold on now. You got clench those thighs, Cody. Clench. Tighter. All right. We're here, but don't stop clenching. All right. Talk to me, babe.
So, I mean, you going first? You want me to go first?
I mean, I could go first. It's not going to make a whole lot of sense because I'm going to be honest with you, Cody. I was so enraptured with this movie. I did not take any notes.
Let me tell you.
I
was so
myself.
defeated by this movie, none of my notes are any good.
Okay, I can go first then. I can go first. Because if I'm guessing, how many times have you seen this movie, Cody?
But this is my first time.
Oh, that's rough. So you don't know nothing about anything, Cody. You don't know anything about the deep lore, all right? The deep magics.
Don't know. Yeah, no.
Oh, Cody. Okay, so I'm going first? Is that what's happening right now?
Yeah. 5 minutes on the clock.
All right. Stop talking, Cody. It's my turn now. All right, here's the thing, Cody. I'm so excited we got to this movie for one reason alone, Cody. All right, is everybody out here? They're like, the CG of the Agent Smiths, it looks so bad. It's like, well, joke's on you, you hipster douchebags. Those were real dudes wearing masks. All right, you thought it was CG. They're real people lining the street. They built the street. They put the people there. They put the fancy like prosthetic masks on them and different things, and then they put some guys that just looked close enough that they could like do like different facial expressions, and like you wouldn't really notice it was panning across them. And you're all stupid for saying it looked CG and dumb and fake, because there's so much of all the movies we've watched. This has so many practical effects that so many people are like, oh, that looks so bad. And it's like, but it was practical. Why are you saying it looks like bad CG when it's a practical effect? Meanwhile, people out here are like, oh, look, Grogu looks so real. Grogu's CG, he's not real. Grogu doesn't love you, Cody, all right? He's not real. He can't love you, all right? I gotta tell you, I got a Grogu in the other room. I got two of them. I got one, he'll walk up to you and tell you how much he loves you. But it's a lie. I pressed the button. I love you, Cody, not Grogu, all right? Okay? You don't even understand, okay? It drives me nuts. This movie, it's so good. It's so, like, there's so much to it, but it is so hyper nerd fantasy movie that it just I can't imagine like what cocaine fueled meeting this got funded in. Like the first one, sure, it's a simulation. The human brain found a way to evolve in such a way that you can now, your brain is now more powerful than the computer. That's how I always interpreted the first movie. Nod your head if you agree with me. That makes sense, right? The human mind finds a way. The second movie, they're like, nope, you're dumb. The computers have been in control the whole time. And then this one, they're like, you're dumb. The humans are in control because a computer is too powerful for the computer to stop. So the whole message of the first one, that the human brain can overcome the AI, is totally wiped out by the fact that at the core of it, the only reason the humans live is because he's like, hey, you designed me to have ultimate power in the Matrix. This dude is another computer program that now has ultimate power in the Matrix. There's no like the human spirit will overcome. It's just computers fighting computers, Cody. That's all it is. It totally wipes out all of that. I told you I like the movie because it's so cool. It's like an anime in real life. The fight scenes are so cool, but at the same time, the story is so stupid. It's so like Dragon Ball Z to a T. But it's like, everything that was cool and all that about the first one, it's like nothing. The humans are never really on top in the next two. They're never like, oh, we got this, we're gonna fight back against the machines. It is like all we could do is get machines to help us fight other machines. They're computer programs. Right click, delete, they're dead. All right, that's all it takes. All right, everybody's like, it's like the NFTs. Everybody's like, I got the only copy. Right click, save as, boom, now I have your NFT. You San Francisco nerd. All right, you're out here, you're buying these NFTs. It's just like the programs in the Matrix. No different, Cody. That's what I'm saying. The Matrix programs are NFTs, non-fungible tokens. That's all I know. That's all I know about the NFTs, Cody. They are the Matrix. Okay, so they're out here, that they bring back the Merovingian. Everybody's like, oh, he's cool, let's bring him back. But they didn't really take him away because this movie, they're the same movie. They're one movie that they're like, you can't put out a 5-hour movie. And the Wachowskis are like, yes, we can, we're gonna do it. And then they couldn't, so they didn't. So they put them out months apart. All right, it's too far apart. It's a base for a bad experience. All right, it's not good. You gotta watch them together or not at all. All right, there's definitely an edit out there that is both these movies mixed together in a better way. It's like there's so much cool about it, but it's like they didn't put enough into the Neo being like this. I don't know, what is he, computer Jesus? That's what he's supposed to be. They're like, oh, he's like Jesus, but he's like computer Jesus, right? Because he saved the computers. He did. The humans were fine. The humans weren't going to get killed by Agent Smith, right? It was the humans gonna get killed by the computers, by the sentinels, by the creepy squids. I'll tell you what though, Cody, the battle though, you didn't like this part. The battle where they're like shooting and they look like they got big old bellies. They're giant mechs. They got guns, Cody. It is okay. James Cameron stole the idea for those mechs, and we all know it, Cody. They're so much cooler though. They're so much cooler. You look at James Cameron's mechs, you look at these mechs, and you tell me, you look at me in the eyes and you try to tell me these mechs aren't cooler. They're all shooting, they're spraying so much bullets into this hole, but they keep coming, and then they're like, they could have just gone straight through the control tower, Cody. Could have gone straight through the control tower, but did they know they?
Oh, Tyler. Oh, Tyler, I'm gonna cut you off right in the middle of your sentence. All right, and let me just tell you, I have things to say, and I'm gonna start my timer right now. The worst part about Avatar, by far, aside from everything, is that the mechs are stupid. And here's what's dumb, is that you're right. As soon as I saw the mechs in this movie, I was like, Avatar. But it's like the movies are like 8 years apart, but the mechs aren't any better. I hated these mechs too, but shame on James Cameron for stealing the mech and not making it better. Like, really? We're 7 years apart from when this movie was made, and you did a mech, and it's not as good, and it's dumb. Like, these mechs at least make sense because it's like, they're kind of clunky, right? They just got the big old guns, go bah, 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 bah. Where James Cameron's like, no, we're going to twirl around knives and do backflips. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I hate it still. I still hate it. It's still bad. I still don't like it. Merovingian, I hate his tie. I talked about it last episode. I'm talking about the terrible tie. I hated it. It was bad. What are we even doing with him? Why is he even here? I don't like that he's around. And I don't understand how he became a staple. Like, he's like, people are like, oh, they liked him, they brought him back. I'm like, I didn't like him, I didn't want him back. I don't need him back ever. And I think the Wachowskis are like, no, this is, aside from Neo, this is the best part. He's the heart and soul of the Matrix. Is this French guy? You know. Um. So I don't know. I don't know why he's here. NFTs. Let me tell you about NFTs. Bailey once a week ask me what what does NFT stand for? And I tell her non-fungible token. And she asks me, wait, no, really? Like, you're kidding, right? like you just made that up to mess with me because sure, that's something I would do. Nope, 100% the name. They're tokens that can't be funged, all right? You're out here trying to funge my tokens. You can't funge me. I am non-fungible, all right? That's what people don't. People out here getting funged left and right. And the boys over in Silicon Valley have said, enough funging. I'm through with these funging tokens, and now they're non-fungible. And I applaud them for that, okay? There's been far too much funging on my watch, and I'm glad that it's over, okay? That's what you need to understand about NFT. Anything you funging is over, and we're better for it, all right? We're pure. We're more holy. Here's why this movie... Here's why this movie is so bad. The Oracle. It's sad because this movie pops up and they're like, the Oracle. The Oracle's been reincarnated because whatever, that's how it works. And I was like, that doesn't make sense, but fine, let's give her a shot. And she pops up and like, you know how Coke is good and Diet Coke is awful? We got Diet Oracle in this movie, okay? The Oracle, I would say, is the best thing about The Matrix aside from Neo. Like, she's great. Great performance from that actress. Love it. I'm all about the Oracle scenes. And in this one, they were like, we're going to reincarnate her and make her worse. And there is a reason for that. Okay? One of my fun facts, the Oracle died. The actress who plays Oracle died. And, you know, no one will ever learn the lesson, right? Because they shot the movie separately. No one will do the Lord of the Rings thing and say, hey, this person's a treasure and we need to shoot all the movies while they're still here. No one will do it because everyone's cowards. Everyone in Hollywood is a coward. So anyway, my problem is this Oracle is so much worse because the whole thing about the Oracle, she's like a Southern grandma. We love her. She makes cookies and is great, you know? And she's like, she's got that perfect grandmotherly vibe about her. This Oracle is black and that's it. She's like so flat, just like the flat, you know, like they're trying to recast and they're like, they kind of look the same, except this person is a robot. Like, she is pure, like, everything she says is so flat. She's like, I don't really understand the difference of now my physical form. I will make cookies now. I can't do it. It made me, I was like, you robbed me of the Oracle. I hated it so much. She was so much worse. And, they did this to me. They made me sit, and they made it like it was such a big part of the movie. And she was so bad. And she's not a bad person. We went from this like really great natural grandma performance to like, let's get a robot on screen to deliver the same lines. Because they didn't even change the lines. It's the same kind of lines, but with a whole different actress that had nothing. It broke my heart, and I hated it. Diet Oracle is the worst thing to happen to the Matrix trilogy aside from the Merovingian. And those are my takes. That's what I have to say.
Cody, terrible takes, but they're absolutely correct, all right? But at the same time, it must be rough to like have a main character die in the middle of a movie and you're like, oh shoot, we're in the middle of filming. We gotta move fast and take whoever we can get at this point.
Yeah.
I will tell you, Cody, I spent some time researching the mechs of Avatar. They're the exact same with one little difference, okay? It'd be like, okay, so the mechs in the Matrix are cool in that they look like they were designed to like move boxes and stuff and have been modified to shoot guns, which I like because it's like that's like the whole aesthetic. It's like this is all like the crap that was left over from humanity before this giant war with the machines, and we're just making do with whatever we can get our hands on, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, that's cool that this is like what their mechs are. So they're slow, they're lumbering, they like move in a jerky way, and it's like they're meant to be more of like a mobile gun emplacement, not really like the ones in Avatar where it's like you got a knife right here and you can fight a thing that's your size, like
Yeah.
make a fist and punch. It's like you're not really, you can kind of swing an arm, but it's like if you get to
Yeah.
that point, you're dead. You're dying at that point. You're not surviving
Right.
a close up. You're a mobile gun emplacement. So I liked them. They got their little bellies. They kind of like jiggle when they're firing, you know. The mechs in Avatar look exactly the same if those mechs worked out. All right, that's all the difference is. It's got the same canopy. It's just got glass on it, you know. But it's the same canopy. It just looks like it worked out. Got big old broad shoulders and big old chest. Other than that, the exact same. Even the guns, because I was like, the guns look like the guns from Gears of War in Avatar. And on this one, I like the look of the guns. Again, they look very like everything looks very. It's just meant to throw metal down there. Like it's nothing fancy. It's nothing cool. It's just meant to take a bullet and throw it at the enemy. Like that's all it's meant to do. Nothing looks too cool. It looks like very. What's the word I'm looking for, Cody?
Merovingian.
No, but I like the aesthetic of Zion. It's like everything's very like. You make do with what you got, kind of. Like,
Right.
And but yeah, it's just like how dare they? How dare they make, like you said, they look worse. I will defend Avatar as an okay movie for the time. For like the kind of movie it is, it's pretty good. For what it set out to do, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's a movie
the
that's all
mix-
about the look, you know, the effects, the visuals, the looks.
Here's a hot take though for you, Cody. I think the mechs look better in this movie. I think these are some of the
could be right.
best looking mechs by their aesthetic and how good the CG looks.
Here's my problem. My problem is that I had to watch them for so long. Like you know, like him just like shooting at the things, and like more and more mechs are going down, and it just there was so like I feel like there was 10 minutes of footage of me just watching mechs shooting guns, and it just
I loved it. I loved
my
that
thing
battle.
is the battle. I know you love the battle. I could have done with like 2 or 3 minutes of the battle, but it was like a whole hour of this movie was like, all right, we have these side characters we introduced last movie. They're going to be going through the battle. They're going to be fighting, helping, doing things. I was like, I didn't need most of that. Like, you could have shown me the battle, sure. It gave me Hobbit 3 vibes, you know, Hobbit Part 3, when it's just like, all right, this battle that Bilbo is out of, so you don't really talk about it in the book, let's show the whole thing, you know? I'm just like,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, this thing happened, that thing happened. My thing is, I wanted to know what Neo was doing. Like, so I think I said it in the last episode, you know, if 2 and 3 were one movie, like just much more focused on like Neo's thing, I would have been fine with that, and I would have gotten through it a lot easier, I think. So that's that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Whereas, like, whenever they would cut to Neo and Trinity going for the Machine City, you know, there's so many times where I'm just like, gosh, just, you know, I don't care. I don't care. I just don't care. Like, and I wonder if part of it is because I've seen the movies so much, and I'm like, I know how that ends. I know there's nothing happening with what they're doing. Like, nothing happens. So it's just like a boring, like, what are they up to? Oh, they're still flying. And there's Smith in a human body. Ah, they killed him. But now Neo's blind, but he can still see, so nothing's changed. It's fine. Nothing's changed. Everything's good. And I'm like, this is boring. Show me the cool battle going on with all the cool effects. Now I know why they did it. Why it was exactly as long as it was and not any longer or any different, because I'm sure that was so much money at the time for how good it looked and how like many in like all the individual things that had to be animated in like the swarm. That must have been ridiculously expensive to CG, but I love it. I love that part, which I think is like, it is interesting because I feel like every time I talk to somebody about this movie, that really seems to be the point where it's like, if you like that battle, you like these 2 movies. You like the sequel movies. And if you don't like that battle, you're not into it. You just don't like it.
Yeah. I guess my thing is, I like The Matrix for like the hand-to-hand martial arts stuff and some of the gun stuff. And so when that's neutralized and it's like a big battle with mechs, it just wasn't wasn't for me. You know, I was like, okay, yeah, you're fighting the Sentinels. Sentinels are scary.
Yeah.
This is your last stand. So I get like narratively why it might matter, but for me, I was like, I need to watch the kung fu. He knows kung fu, and I want to watch him know kung fu.
Yeah,
So
I would say as a series, it definitely would have done better. And I don't know if they went back to this in the fourth one yet. I will soon. It would have, I felt like, done better and been more beloved by everybody if they had stuck with the. No, it's like, yeah, there's Zion, and maybe they go to it, and it is like, I would have made Zion like, okay, if you stuck with the hacker aesthetic, which is kind of what you talked about in like our first episode, right? Where have it be the ships are up there. It's super dangerous. Like encountering one or two sentinels is a death sentence, basically. Like unless you can get the EMP is your only weapon. Like basically make it so
right.
bullets are useless. It's only the EMP is like the whole thing, and then make either the city like in that instance I would have made the city more of like this looks like it was built originally as like a bomb shelter for like a possible nuclear war, and they've converted it into a city. So everything's a little bit nicer, but not still. It's like there's more people than this was designed to hold, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you just make it so it's like maybe one of the three movies they spend a little bit of time there and explain like this is what we're trying to do. Basically be like we're not trying to. The machines won. We're just trying to get it to the point where we can live without them hunting us. I think their biggest decision, which was quite the decision, was to be like, oh no, this is part of the Matrix. Even Zion's part of the Matrix. It was like it really took the whole series in a different way. I feel like had they stuck with the like, no, this is humanity like evolving in such a way that we can get ourselves out. So it's like we tried fighting them, with bullets and guns and like tanks. With bullets, like all the stuff. I said bullets and guns. I was like, it's the same thing, Cody. It's the same thing.
Well, look, you can't use a bullet without a gun. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. Tasers.
Except if you've seen UHF, they do like it's a Weird Al movie, and they do all these like parodies throughout it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the one is it's Weird Al as like Rambo. So he catches a bullet with his teeth, and he chews it up, and then he spits out like machine gun fire. So nice. I guess if you're Weird Al as Rambo, you can do it, but most people cannot.
That's good.
Bullets without guns, it's like ice cream without cones.
It's true.
You can't just eat ice cream with your hands. Pretend bowls don't exist for my analogy.
But
ice cream too cold for them fingies.
Like, would you agree with that? That it would have been a stronger franchise had they gone the route of like humanity being like fighting them openly with like warfare. It failed. We lost, and there's no way we can ever beat them. So we just have to fight them this way.
I would agree. And you, like you said, it would fit a lot more with the aesthetic of the first. It was all about the hack and the fighting. It's happening in the Matrix. That's what's interesting about the first one. Is like the fighting that isn't happening in the Matrix is like, oh, we had a traitor on the ship, and we got to deal with this guy now. So, which is just like a much smaller scale thing versus like, no, we're doing all out warfare. You're right. I mean, it isn't, the philosophy of the Matrix isn't really about all out warfare, but they really made it about that, right? Because it's like, no, we know where Zion is. It's just, it got too big, so now we got to squash it again. And then we'll go through the whole cycle again, and this is just what we have to do to keep our farm going, give humanity just enough hope so that they are fighting, but we still got the energies we need. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It was very different directions, and it is it's just interesting they went the full battle mode.
That's one of the reasons why I think like, decades from now when the Wachowskis are no longer with us, rest in peace in the future, the Wachowskis. And it's just a property in like, I guess Warner Brothers owns it. It's just like some Warner Brothers property that some executives like, hey, this would be cool. And then because it's kind of like how the MCU makes a lot of superhero stuff where if you don't read the comics, you don't necessarily know this, but a lot of that stuff is way different than it is in the comics. Like they definitely play a lot with the expectations of people that are familiar with certain characters. And you're like, oh, this person's going to be like a billionaire. And then they're just like a dude, and it's like, oh, that's different than the comics, And it would be cool for them to someday, like I was saying, when they remake it, which I think they will, like as a show or even as movies again, if they do decide to go that direction with it and keep it. Now, maybe have like be like, okay, there is like some kind of final stand, but it is like you said, like it's 2 minutes at the very end when it's like we just have to hold out. Basically, it's like the hacker's in the back of the van, and we just have to protect the van for 2 minutes so he can hack the mainframe. You know?
Right. Yeah.
But because framing it in that way, because it did seem like if they had framed it like everybody was like, we just have to hold out until Neo can save us, I think that subtle shift would have made it fit better, as opposed to having. I know you didn't like having like the general, and I didn't mind having him. I didn't like that he was like, I don't believe in all this religious garbage. I'm gonna win this war. When it's like, there's no winning this, dude. Like,
yeah, well, that is what's weird about it, right? Because the first one, you're like, you mentioned this in the previous ones, right? Where it's like, oh, you're like, yeah, everyone believes in the one and is ready for the one, and then immediately in two, it's like, nobody believes in the one. It's just like 5 people.
Well,
it's
it
just
shows
like
all
the
those
kooks over here, and you're like,
followers.
But that is the thing that I was drawn to in the first one. Like, that's what got me bought into the first one. So then in the second and third one, to be like, that stuff doesn't matter. Most people aren't worried about that. Well, they're just worried about, like, we're doing a war, and this is the committee, and this is the general. So just like, that's not Matrix. To me, it's not Matrix. It's, like I said, it feels like The Hobbit. It's like, oh, we're doing a big battle scene.
But it's also like, they showed all his followers and everything coming to like give him offerings, and it showed like the council believed in him, and like when Morpheus gave his big speech in the second movie, like it's like, oh, most people seem to like believe in Morpheus, believe in the one. It's really just this guy. So it's like 99% of people
in power are like not practical. We're
but
not
even
worried
then,
about that word.
But even like I said, like the council, which are like the big bosses, are all like, no, you should give at least something to this thing because we all believe in this.
One of the guys in the council is like an Ivy League philosopher. Like, he's a professor at like an Ivy League college, and he has a master class about philosophy. And so I keep seeing his master class ad in my feed. So when we watched The Matrix, I was like, what? That's the philosophy. He's a professor of philosophy. Like,
that's cool.
What's that guy doing in The Matrix?
Yeah. Philosophizing,
Philosophizing.
But,
oh man.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah, it is. It's it's a thing. It's a whole thing. It's a whole rigmarole. Diet Oracle, I hated it. Did you hate it? Am I wrong? She popped her peas too much. She didn't give a performance. I didn't feel like.
She definitely, like you said, the lady that was originally cast as Oracle came across as like a grandma. Like, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
I feel like you might be a little kooky and you might be crazy, or you might know exactly what you're talking about. And it's not really. And this lady was like your grandma's friend that you're like, do you want to bone me or kill me? Either way, you're like 60. All right. And I don't really want to do either. All right. I'd prefer to do neither. And I don't really. It's like. It's like one
that
is
common stereotype. We've all been there. We've all had that grandma friend who was like, she's trying to kill me or she's trying to bone. I don't know.
It's like one is the loving Southern grandma. The other one is Medea. All right, that's what it is. Whereas the other, the other one's like, she's like,
you're giving her too much credit because
Medea's better. You're right.
Medea's like a colorful personality, and she was so here. Okay, here's what's wild though. So when the Oracle died, it was like, oh, this is rough. What are we gonna do?
I have a better.
Now the person they Diet Oracle, let's call her because that's what she is. They acted before together. They played sisters in a Broadway play. So they were like, this is perfect. And I could see them as sisters, definitely, because it's like, oh, you're like the warm, loving sister, and you're like the boring, pragmatic sister. And so, like, I don't see them replacing each other. I get that they played sisters in a play.
Yeah. But
they aren't, like, they were friends probably in real life. But so I was just like, it didn't work for me.
I just thought of it, Cody. I thought of the perfect thing. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The first Oracle, her personality is she's the cookies. All right. The second Oracle, her personality is the smoking. That's what she is. She's the smoking. All right. That's what it is, right? It's like the cookies, and then like, what's her personality? She's the one. She makes cookies. All right, that's what she does.
Yeah.
The second one is, what does she do? She smokes. That's what she does. It's like,
You know what's
okay.
so funny about that?
What?
Is that I had a grandma who smoked, and she was a good cook, and she made like this lemonade cake that I love, and I still make on occasion. And I totally get that, like, because she quit smoking for a long time, but then she picked it back up.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I get it. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Man, wow, you nailed it.
It is. Like, I thought, I was like,
let's talk
say
about
it.
another casting decision that made me mad.
Okay.
I didn't like the train guy. I wasn't bought into him at all. I was like, this is not the right dude. Like, he's supposed to be like menacing and like, who's this mysterious man? And then it's like this like lanky beanpole that's like, you don't look like, I don't know, like he looks just like a homeless man in the train station. Like I wasn't about it. I wasn't. And here's the other thing. This is the other thing that I thought was funny, because there's like a chase scene, and you have the train guy.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call him? It's something like that.
The train man.
And he's literally like, he's running like this, and you have Trinity like striding in her leather, and she's running so fast, and train guy's like bopping along like, okay, Trinity's running twice as fast as this man. How is he not? It's like when the quarterback is throws an interception and is trying to catch up to the person who picked him off. It's like it was like that chase, watching that chase happen, or the kicker trying to tackle the guy who's about to like return the punt for. It was like, oh, here's the guy who's paid to run, and here's the guy that absolutely isn't. And so when she couldn't catch up to him, I was like, this is not working for me.
Okay, here's the thing.
Talk to me.
This actor, I've seen him in a lot of stuff. He is solidly, and I think he is great as a, like a TV actor in nerd stuff. He's awesome. Sure. Like there was a show a long time ago that he played like a wizard for a long time in. And classic. Yeah, he was very great. He was awesome because it was like he was kind of the guy where he's like kind of a bumbling wizard, but he's like a master wizard, but there's no more master wizards,
right.
So he'd like, oh, I'm just a kooky old man, and then he'd kill everybody, nails that. Every so often, he manages to get himself like just injected into a role of a big budget movie, and it never works. It never looks great. I love him. He's a great actor, but he just doesn't. I hate to. It's like he just doesn't have the stuff for the. Like, I don't. Yeah. Look, I don't think I got the stuff for a big budget movie. Don't put me in the next MCU movie unless I'm in the background and I'm blurry. All right, that's all. That's the only thing I can nail. All right.
You need a guy to be in a chair. Who would be good for that?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. You need a dead body.
Sit in a chair for us.
A blurry dead body. I got you. Okay. I want to be so far in the background that I don't have to not breathe, though. All right. Then I can nail that kind of dead body. All right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I mean, he was a casting choice, but every time I can't not see him as like
the makeup did him any favors either, because they went hard on like the crooked teeth and like the weird. I don't know. It's just like. There was too many like strong choices happening that like it didn't all pull together.
Yeah, he was definitely like, which it would have made. I don't know, because it's like, had it been, I don't know, like, had it been revealed that he was the train man, versus them like walking onto the train with Seraph and him like, that's the guy, like. It would have made more sense if they had like he was getting like beaten up by a sinister looking dude, and then it's like, oh no, this dude that looks like a homeless man, he's the guy we actually need, I would have preferred him be similar to the bad version of the Keymaker, where it's like he's not fast, he's not strong, he just has a very specific thing he does, and everybody needs that thing, so nobody really wants to mess with him. Like, I would have been a better, I feel like, direction. But if it all comes back to the Wachowskis always seem to do what is the coolest, most colorful thing to do. Not what's the best narrative thing to do. Not what's like fits the character or fits this actor the best. It's like
taking what's big like style swings and
what's like an anime
which is kind of what makes like Speed Racer so delightful to watch.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of fun when it's in a bright, colorful kids adventure kind of movie. Is what was kind of fun about Speed Racer, versus when you do it in the Matrix, you're like, but I want it to be cool still. Like, I want it, I don't want it to be like fun and colorful. I want it to be like sleek and cool, almost to the point of being lame, but not quite.
Yeah.
Okay, Bailey was over the columns. She was like, there's too many columns, and I was like, that's the thing. There's always a column scene. There's a scene with columns. We got to do it. Was this the one where they did the upside down action scene? Right. I think that was this one. Right, where
Maybe.
like Morpheus and Trinity go upside down, and then the bad guys, and then they're in a column room and they're fighting around each other. Like, which is an interesting concept for like a set piece. I didn't think it made it interesting enough because it was kind of like, you're still fighting each other, like just some of you are inverted. I don't know if it added what you needed in an action scene to make it. It's not that dimension that makes it interesting, like the John Wick scene where it's like, oh, there's knives everywhere. They're all dull. I was like, that's perfect. Like, that is great. That's a great premise for martial arts. When it's like one of you slipped upside down, but you still see each other and shoot each other. Like, I don't know, man.
I'm looking for the scene you're talking about. I saw there's one picture of Trinity next to a column, and I'm like, I don't know what this scene is, because it looks like it's her going into the power plant, but that was in the last movie, wasn't it?
Look, I'm not even worried about it. Here's what I do want to talk about. There's a club scene in this movie, because of course there is.
Yeah.
This one's the most exciting of all of them, I would say. Here's the thing about this club scene.
Tell me
How much lube do you think was needed to get everyone into costume? Like, everybody had like painted on pleather, everything. Like,
everyone was in a
skin tight
gimp suit. It is so uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. Here's the thing: the club scene in the first Matrix is like, oh, this is like a weird, gothy kind of '90s rave. I get it. This is like maybe like, and it was like dark, flashy, quick and over, And all the other club scenes, they're like, all right, we got to go hard. There has to be lights everywhere. We got to see it. It has to be the centerpiece of a conversation. We got to do this club scene for 10 minutes. And I don't understand. I didn't need it. There's a club scene in every movie. And I feel like the first movie is the only one that nails the club scene. Where it's like, this is just kind of like a setting. There's a conversation. We're done. The other ones are like, no, we got to do a whole thing. We're fighting the people in the gimp suits. Like, can't get around it. We're doing it. I don't know.
Yeah.
My point is,
I was uncomfortable because they set up the
shiny wet people.
They set up the Merovingian, right, as like this, like he enjoys, even if he's not really that sophisticated, he enjoys like he has a French accent, not because he's French, he's a computer program, because he loves the French language and like all of the, like how like uppity the French are as a people. Yeah. So it's like, then the next movie they're like, now Gimp Rave Club, and it's like, that does not fit. All right, dude. Like,
because the first one is like, oh, fine dining, fine wine, like this is my like fancy exclusive club establishment restaurant. Yeah, and then this one just like, he's in the club. Everyone's in leather. Like,
yeah,
it is. Yeah, they're very different settings.
Yeah, because another thing that would have been like, because he also was like, I knew you were gonna come, which, okay, let me fix this scene. Famous Tyler fixes this scene, and I nail it every time, Cody. Don't even trip, all right? What if they had kicked in that door, and it was just him?
Ooh.
Sitting at a dinner table eating dinner. Like him, the train man, like some of his cronies or something are like on the wings of this giant room. Like the room the same size, but it's just him. And he's just eating like a real elegant meal or something. Maybe there's a string quartet over in the corner playing some light classical music. How much better of a scene would that have been if they had come in with all that fire and fury and it's like him sitting there and you're like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
This guy knew we were coming. And it's like, it would have set him up so much because it's almost like they wanted him to be like, this guy's like Neo, but he's a computer program. But they never really cash in on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I think that's a good point.
So that would have been cooler.
What's his name? Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. No, sorry. Mr.
Agent Smith.
Agent Smith So his whole thing, right? He comes through the Matrix and he takes over a dude's body, right?
Yeah.
Within the real world. And here's my thing about it. He has the mannerisms of Agent Smith. And he calls Neo Mr. Anderson. And Neo's like, who is this guy? Yeah. Like, no one in this world knows you as Thomas Anderson. Your name is Neo here. There's one person who has called you Mr. Anderson 50 times in the last week of your life. Yeah. And it is Agent Smith. And he's like, what is this guy doing? It's the guy. Your other half, the malicious virus that is the mirror image of you in computer artificial intelligence form. Like, the guy the movie's about, your arch nemesis, he's here talking to you. Yeah, he looks different, but you already know he replicates himself. Anyway, I was just like, like, this isn't Bill and Ted. You're not clueless. You're the smart boy. Anyway, I just thought it was funny that he didn't get it,
Yeah.
Because they cast that actor. He's like, oh, this guy does a great Hugo Weaving kind of person. He'd be the perfect, like, to be this guy in the real world, They cast him for that exact reason. And then Neo is totally lost on him, like, in a way that's not even fun. It's like, we all know what's going on.
Yeah.
So he needs to know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, even at this point, he's also seen Agent Smith try to take over a person before. Because he saved Morpheus from it. And, like, I agree. That is something that has bugged me. It is the only, I would say the only, like, I can't really find a way to redeem it other than to have him not be so dumb about it, right? Other than the only way around it,
it's an interesting choice to put him in the real world. Great, they picked a good actor for it who pulls off the Hugo Weaving vibe.
Like, okay, so never mind. I take it back. I have a way to fix it. Okay, all you got to do is all the scenes with him. He has to be of trying desperately to avoid like Morpheus and Neo, which are the two people that he has directly talked to in the past. That could like identify him by the way he talks and things he says. So it's like he needs to like all you would have to do is change his stuff to be like instead of introducing himself to Neo, like immediately be like, oh shoot, Neo or Morpheus is here. Like I can't be here. They'll recognize who they'll know something's up. Also, like you don't know anything about this guy. You probably don't even know his name. All right. And then you're like, oh, I guess no, he absorbs him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, by that measure, you've absorbed him. Shouldn't you be able to act like the guy? And not be creepy about everything?
Right. It's like you're the artificial intelligence, so blend in a little bit.
Have some intelligence, Be a spy.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want to talk about one of the taglines of this movie that I hated?
Let's talk about it.
Some things never change, but some things do.
True words,
like
Cody.
Something you just wish no one said ever,
But
like
Cody,
it's the kind of thing I don't understand. I hate it. Some things never change, but some things do. Sometimes it rains, but sometimes it doesn't. That's the same thing. That's the saying we're doing.
The taglines I see here, Cody, is the IMAX revolution, which I think is clever.
Okay.
Because it was an IMAX.
Yeah.
And everything that has a beginning has an end.
Those are bad.
Which seems dumb now that there's another movie.
Why did we go, like, they said the line like 4 times. It was like one of those like Christopher Nolan repeating lines. You're like, hey, I'm going to say this line. And then I'll say it later and it'll clue you in, or it'll be a little callback, or it'll wrap it all together, or you'll think about the line in a different way. And it's like, no, they just said it 3 times. It meant nothing each time because it means nothing. And it seemed like a weird focal point of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll just go here. I'll just do this. This is one of my final notes.
Give it to me.
I didn't fully understand the ending of this movie. And maybe it had something to do with me being too tired and I did fall asleep for like 30 seconds 3 or 4 times.
I'm so excited right now.
I was just so bored. I was just bored by the end of it. I was like, all right, Neo's here. He's talking to the machine. I guess he struck a stalemate with the machines, kind of. And was that the end, basically?
All right, here we go.
Floating head.
I-
Okay, but let me say this. Okay,
Oh.
that is my note, but I will. The caveat is this: I didn't like the way the movie ended, but I was glad that it did end. But I will say, watching Matrix 4, I was like, you know what? I actually kind of like it, in a way, kind of justified the ending of 3 for me a little bit, where 4 picks up, and I was like, oh, okay, no, I feel more okay about the way, the storyline a little bit. So I will say that. But having, when I had only seen this movie, I was kind of like, I don't super get this ending. Just kind of glad it's over.
All right, Cody, here's me, your boy, here to explain the ending of Matrix Revolutions, right? Isn't that the one?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. Why can't they just call Matrix 1, 2, and 3? All right, that's the annoying thing.
No. Okay, the first one's Matrix, so that means the second one has to have a title with R. Matrix Reloaded. So the next has to be Revolutions, and the last has to be Resurrections. They all have to have R titles because the first one didn't.
Yeah.
Some
Makes
things
sense.
never change, but some things do.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing, Cody. He knows, all right, because he's the one. So he knows. So he's like, we got to go to the Machine City. We got to go to Machine City, talk to the giant floating baby head, all right? That's what it was. It was a baby that said, speak. And it's like, what? Why are you a baby? Why are you a baby head? Why did you make a head? Why do you... Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Why does that functionality exist? Who is that for? All right? There's no... It's not like they have human slaves that they want to intimidate. The humans are in the world. They think they live in 1999 New York City. All right? There's nothing. There's no purpose for that baby head thing. None. It could have just been a
what it should have been?
speaker.
No, it should have been Plankton's assistant in SpongeBob.
Oh,
Like the
Karen.
big computer that just kind of does. Yeah, it
Yeah.
should have been Karen. Like, I would have been happy with that.
I mean, it would have
He's
been
in
fine
the
if it had
control
just
room,
been like
there's a Karen.
the big overmind thing, like floating up with just like a light that got brighter when it spoke or something. Because that wouldn't have made any more sense, but it would have made more sense. All right.
But it wouldn't have been a giant baby head.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's like, why do you have the functionality to speak out loud at all? You don't need to do that ever. So anyway, so he goes there and he's like, all right, this dude, he's taking over the Matrix. You cannot control him. He's going to get into your system and take you over. All right. Let me fight him. I'll kill him. Like, I'll take out this virus, basically. But in return, you got to leave the humans alone and let all the people go. And it's like, fine, whatever. You're going to die anyway. So then he goes. He has his fight with Smith where he overcomes Cody. He has to let go to overcome or whatever. I don't know, something dumb. You could ask the Wachowskis. It's probably something like that. Who cares? Anyway, he wins at the end, right? Because he refuses to give up, but he wins by giving up. So I don't know what to tell you right now. And then the machines are like, all right, cool, you did it. And then they let everybody go. And then the architect says some stuff like, we're going to get him again, which is kind of like, the architect is like, here's what the architect is, Cody. He's that guy that's like, the South will rise again. The South's not going to rise again, all right? You need to get over this, guys. You need, all the people, here's the thing about the South, Cody. Okay? You technically live in the South because you were part of the Confederacy, okay? Here's the thing. All these people in like Virginia, they're like, we're in the South. You don't live in the South, all right? Don't try, all right? Even though you're part of the Confederacy. Nobody cares about that, Cody. What's important is that Missouri was part of it. Here's the thing, Cody. Missouri and Kansas fought their own civil war, basically. Like, everybody else was doing their own thing, and then they were like, we're going to kill each other kind of outside of you guys
This
also
is what's
killing
wild.
each other.
This is what's wild about that whole scenario. Kansans, Missourians hate each other. They will always have this petty rivalry to the end of time. But now they share a football team.
Yeah.
Who's doing pretty well. So...
Yeah.
They have,
It's the only thing that unites
Patrick Mahomes
us.
the one? Will he bind us together? Will he bridge the gap?
No, but he can try.
Oh.
So here's my point, Cody. It's like the architect's like, we'll get him again. We'll get him again. You know, which is basically what you're saying when you say the South will rise again. You're saying we'll get him again. All right? We all know what that means. All right? So the architects are racist. That's what I'm saying. against
Yeah,
humans. Speciest, I guess is what it would be, really. But that's the ending of it. Does that make sense to you?
It doesn't make sense, but
I mean, are you
fine.
confused? He made a deal with the machines, basically. Like, I'll solve your problem if you let,
I just
because it's
don't
like
understand
1%
the
of
deal.
people. The deal is I'll
So what was?
save you if you let my people go, a la Moses.
Did he
But
save
Moses
them?
didn't save people.
Who did he
Didn't save
save
the
them
Egyptians.
from? Who did he save the machines from?
So the risk was that so Anderson, or not Anderson, Smith had taken over the Matrix, and it was only a matter of time before he made his way back to the machine.
I forgot.
Yeah,
Because Smith was a naughty boy.
yeah. So that was the thing. They were like gonna get eaten by Smith. So he's like, "I'll stop Smith if you let all the people that want out of the Matrix."
That's my thing. Is
you
it's
let 'em
like,
out."
okay, yeah, he stopped Smith, but the machines, the giant baby head's still there, so take over the people. You know?
But here's okay. That's the other thing that like I always have trouble thinking of it this way. But like, if you think about the machines, they put themselves out there, and the movie does a very good job of making you be like, they're machines and there's people. And then it's like, but all machines aren't machines. And then you're like, oh, maybe the machines are kind of like people too. They're AI. They can have emotions. And then it's like, no, they can't have emotions. They're machines. And then you're like, okay, machines can't have emotions. And it's like, but maybe they got emotions. You know, maybe they love their children. And then you're like, oh, so they do love their children. And then the movie's like, what children, you idiot? They can't have children. They're machines. And then it's like, what do you want from me, Wachowskis? Do you want me to have empathy for the machines or not? All right? You need to decide. You need to pick a lane here. Are the machines like intelligent and sentient, or are they just machines doing stuff? All right? What are you doing? That part drives me nuts. But if you think about it, it's like they made a deal, and the machines just honored the deal. That was it.
All right.
Like,
So, my question is,
ask it if you did.
what are you going to rate this movie? You're going to slap a letter grade on it. What does it get?
Am I slapping it? A great
I do think I won
independent-
this episode because I got you complaining a lot about this movie. That you said you really
I do like it, but there is like, I think a better movie exists. They could have made a really cool like, this is like top tier, like, will survive forever as one of the best sci-fi trilogies of all time kind of movie, and they just chose to not do that. Is basically the problem.
Yeah.
So I like it as like a cool for the sake of being cool popcorn movie, but not one that's like, I'm not gonna like be like, oh, you know what you should check out if you like movies? The Matrix. No, I would never say that. Even really about the first one. There's 1,000 movies I feel like almost everybody would say before that you got to the Matrix. But for this one, what did I rate the last one? Do you remember? We were gonna record it, and I don't remember. We were gonna start recording this, and we forgot immediately.
Was yours like a C plus and mine was like a C minus, or yours was like a B minus, or I thought you were in the C plus B minus range for the second one. I thought.
I'll give this one a C plus because I think I did a B minus for the second one.
Let me tell you this. Go ahead.
I feel like individually the second one is a better movie than this one, even though this one has more of an end. But this one, even though it has the cool battle that I like, it's all over the place. It's trying to do too
What I'll
much.
give this movie. All right.
Give
Let
it.
me tell you. I give this movie a D. I couldn't do it. It was so. I couldn't do it. Like, I really. Now let me tell you. I will give you this caveat. If I, having watched 4, and having felt more justified in the ending and like feeling like I comprehend the ending, I almost think maybe I could bump it up to a C minus, but no, I'm gonna stick with the D. Like, it's not like I felt a lot of resolution in the 4th one, even just the setting up of it. Not even like the way the 4th one ended, and the whole arc. It was just kind of like, oh, the way they carried it on in the 4th one. I was like, I feel like I like the direction they took with this one a little better. It's a D. It's not watchable. Maybe you're right. You watch them all like literally in one run. It's better, but I had such an experience with this movie that I don't make me watch it again. I can't do it. I can't, and I won't, and it's not possible. watch Matrix 1. Here's the hard thing, is that so much of Matrix 4 refers back to 2 and 3, so it's hard, because I did like 4, so it's hard. It's hard. We'll talk about 4 next time, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, one day.
D? A C plus and a D. That's where we're sitting at with this guy.
I've recorded it, Cody, so we'll never forget.
I wrote it down. Scribbled it down.
Look at you going. Look at you.
What else is there to say about the Matrix Revolutions? Did I miss anything?
No, I would say, like, as far as, I know you would not recommend it. I would recommend, if you liked Avatar as like if you're like, oh, it's a cool movie, I think you'll like the sequels to the Matrix. Like if you like that kind of, like the Transformers or the Avatars, where it's like, it just looks cool and there's giant things fighting each other, and that's fine.
Right.
You'll like it. If you're like,
I hear you.
if you watch the Matrix and you're like, oh, I like this, but you don't like those movies, just don't bother with the sequels. Just tell yourself it ended at the first one. Tell yourself Neo said the threatening thing to the machines, and now the humans win, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean, really,
fair deal.
You got the same story. Nothing changed with the other two. It's just added on the cool for the sake of being cool, like anime style stuff.
Plus a bonus, Diet Oracle.
Oh yeah, you do get the Diet Oracle.
Well, thank you for listening. You can rate, share, and review us wherever you find podcasts. You can also yell at us on social media at Opinion Hours. Behold our memes on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Thank you for listening, and until next time, watch movies.
And have opinions. They added like 30 characters in this movie. And I cannot believe you did not mention that.
Too distracted by the lube.
So much. I'm going to guess $80,000 worth of lube. At least. Yeah. They're just a shower that just spat lube.
That's the low end for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being the lube boy on the set of this movie? Lube boy. Lube me. It's hazard pay, too. That comes with hazard pay.
Yeah, that's an extra 50 cents an hour right there.